Hi, so I figured since I was bored I would just make another video. Think earbuds are the best. Anyway, so, I think I'll talk about time management and how, like, why I think a lot of people, even though they're like, oh, I'm really good at time management, how I think they're, like, totally mistaken and stuff like that. And I don't mean to, like, say this as sort of, like, I don't mean to be pretentious or anything. This is really, like, they are wasting a lot of time and they could be doing a lot more. So, I'm gonna tell a few stories first, because, um, so you can really, like, understand where these concepts come from, and that might help you understand it better, I guess, even though they're pretty self-explanatory, and why I felt a need to develop this, so I have some credibility, I guess. So, like, I went to a pretty competitive high school, I mean, I didn't really care about high school that much, I guess, because I didn't care about school in general because I wanted to play video games. But my mom required me to actually get perfect grades, which I could when I did, but then like I had some issues, so I didn't end up getting perfect grades. But I would see these guys who would like all my classmates literally. They got home, they did all their work, and then when they were done, it was like 1 in the morning, or 2 in the morning, or in some cases 3 in the morning, and then they'd have a test to study for or something. Whereas with me, when I got home, I got on my Xbox and I played Halo for 9 hours and then I went to sleep. I mean, that's what I did because when I was young, I wanted to be a pro gamer in Halo. That is, because like it was really awesome. Like I watched it. Oh, dude, you can make money playing video games. And I was like, let's do it. So I would literally play so much, and I noticed that I actually had to practice a lot in order to get really good at this game. So I wanted to maximize my practice hours. So I moved some things around. I and I just kind of arranged everything so that it would end up like I would actually just like every minute that was available to me, I could use to play Halo. And later on it was StarCraft. But so what I did was in 7th grade I was like, well, what wastes my time at home? Homework. So, what if what if I did all my homework during school, so then when I got home, I literally would have no homework. And then, okay, so I gave up my social life. I got it back later, don't worry. But, I gave up my social life, and the first 4 classes for me, I had 6 classes. The first 4 classes were before lunch. So I would get the homework for those 4 classes, and then I would, like, literally just wolf down my lunch, and then I would do my homework. And then what I noticed was I wasn't finishing, and I'll get into this later. But at first I wasn't finishing, and then eventually I learned other tricks, and then I would always have the homework done by about 3/4 of the way through lunch. So then I'd have like 10 minutes left to go socialize, I guess. But 5 and 6, well, 5 was PE, so no homework from PE, and then 6 was band. So all was well, all was well. Let's see. The next year, 6 was still band, so I only had 1 class. And then what would happen was during band, there were about 10 minutes where the teacher would kind of just goof off, I guess. So during those 10 minutes, I would do my homework. And then in the, like, the teacher would goof off for a bit, and then, like, while we were setting up, that was the time I did the homework. And then between every song, whenever the teacher was, like, giving a lecture about music or something, I would pull it out and I would do the homework. And then I was really careful not to get caught because she would get super pissed. But when I got home, I had like, well, this was 7th grade, so I slept around 10:30 ish, 10. So when I got home, it was like 4, so I'd have 6 hours to play Halo, if subtracting dinner time. Um, that was okay and all, but then like when we got to high school, the workload like dramatically increased, and I started sleeping later because I needed less sleep. But my practice hours also needed to go up. So I really needed to fulfill this like I needed to create a lot of time and I needed to do things extremely quickly. So, like my school, South High School in Torrance, California, there are these 7-minute passing periods because the school's it's like decently large. So what I would do is I would actually sprint to my next class, and then um, I would do all my work, and then yeah, and I would somehow finish by most of the work. Most of the work would be done by 3, but then I had about 20 minutes before my brother picked me up, and then so then I would do the work, and then by the time I got home, all was well. I could play Halo. If it was a marching band day, which like I couldn't do anything, so I would always find something to do, like in regards to Halo once I was done. So there are a few key concepts here, which I will begin, and then I will like tie in where I learn the concepts as I come in, I guess, sort of as a personal story. But, huh, the first thing I noticed was that if I wanted something done by a certain time, if I like set the time to do it, it becomes done by that certain time, which is really weird. And then I read this book, and then it was talking about this thing called Parkinson's Law. And what Parkinson's Law states that when it comes to time, or when it comes to the time needed to complete a task, the demand will stretch to fill the supply. So, in other words, the time needed to complete a task is always the same as the time given. So, however long you have to complete a task, that's how long it takes to do it. And this is why I love procrastinating. I don't give a crap what your parents say or what my parents say, but procrastinating actually is good if you know what you're doing. Because the project gets done, right? I mean, how long did it take you? You pushed it off until the night before. You did the whole thing in freaking 6 hours, whereas if you started 3 weeks ahead like they told you to, it would have taken you like a week. 6 hours. Oh, my hand's on the phone. 6 hours a week. Like, it's weird. And then when I noticed this, I was like, okay, well, if I had a project and I want to get it done with, what if I did this project, which took everybody else like 8 hours? What if I only gave myself 2 hours to do it? Huh. And what happened was I finished in an hour and 45 minutes. And I was like, that's interesting. So I started doing this for everything. I would tell myself, okay, so let's take sophomore year for example, because this is when the gaming was the most intense, other than junior year, which I shouldn't have. Well, APs, so I couldn't really game that hard. But like sophomore year, uh, let's see, I had math first. I had history second. History, I did debate with the teacher. That class was interesting, so I couldn't do the homework there. But what would happen was, after math class, pre-calc, I would dash over. I would like sprint to my second class, and then when I got there, I'd be like, okay, um, this homework, I have to get it done before this class starts, and I would have 6 minutes exactly to do that. And then they're like pre-calc was like these super long assignments, so of course I didn't finish. But what surprised me was how much I got done. I would get 2/3 to 3/4 of the assignment done consistently, just by that little period of time, just because I forced myself to. I was like, okay, I must finish by before second period starts. And then it was weird because before I started doing that, I would only get through about like a fourth of it to a third. So I wasn't getting a lot of it done. And then once I was like, okay, I must finish, I got a lot more of it done. And then eventually this became ingrained into my being. Oh, I must finish my pre-calc homework by the time freaking the by the time the passing period between second and third finishes, which is slightly longer. And I would always finish early. But then history never gave homework because that guy was super chill. Love you, Mr. Spoke. Anyway, yeah. I guess this kind of ties back into the concept of intent that I did in a previous video. Like, if you intend to do something by a certain time, it becomes done by that certain time, which is really cool, and I really like it because it's kind of how I get through a lot of things. And then the second rule, which kind of like blows everyone's mind, like it destroyed my mind until I like really thought about it, is the Pareto Principle, which states that, or the 80/20 rule. So 80% of your successes are derived from 20% of your efforts. believe it or not. So that means the other 80% of your efforts yield 20% of your successes. So I thought about this and I was like, okay, I guess the ratios like change a bit. So what if I did that only that little amount of work that I needed to do all my homework? And then like this might be really subtle. So the first thing I did was I stopped writing really neat. And this actually cut my homework time in half and I hadn't even noticed. Like before my writing was like really like mechanical. It was really precise. If I had here, I'll actually try to show what my handwriting looks like. Mm, I don't know if I can still do it because I've gotten so used to. This is how I used to write. I don't know if you can see that. It's really small, small Asian handwriting. Yeah. Hey, hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Hold on. Yeah, you can see it now. This is how I write now. How much? How long did that take me? Not very long. Once I decide, once the camera decides to show it. Okay. It's still legible, right? But I saved so much time. So that's the first thing, is don't care about neatness. Cause, like, that saved me a crap ton of time, and it was freaking awesome, and yeah. And then, oh, dude, that's a whole nother topic onto itself, the way you grip the pencil to write faster and neater. But, like, I didn't sacrifice that much neatness, but I sacrificed a great deal of it, and it cut the time it took to do my homework in half. And then, when it came to math homework, I stopped showing my work. Well, I showed the minimal steps required to derive the answer and show the teacher what I was doing, I guess. Which some math teachers might not like this, but I got away with it because my teacher was super chill. Also, abuse your circumstances. That's another thing. If you've been paying attention, you can see that I abuse a lot of the circumstances that I'm in to maximize gain, I guess. Um, so I showed as little work as I needed to. I always did it as fast as I could. Sometimes, and then if I didn't get a problem, I'd skip it right away, and then sometimes I just wouldn't do it because there really was no point. Like, you can spend some time being flustered about the problem and then not figuring it out, and then go to school the next day to ask the teacher, or you can just skip it and just ask the teacher, how much time did you save? Remember, this is about saving time. So, um, like the handwriting thing, that's just like one of the few things that I saw that I was doing. Um, I used to try to organize everything. Now it's just kind of one big slop, and then I'd box the answer, and then the teacher would still like be able to understand my work, I guess. I'm not saying be a slob. I'm saying be a slob reasonably so that it saves you time, which is an interesting concept to a lot of people. Um, what's another good one? In other words, strip down to the bare essentials enough to get you like the desired result, because um too often people spend so much time like, I guess a good example of this is business. If you take any business, something like 90, it might not be 80-20, it might be like 90-10, 95 to 5 or 85 to 15, but like 90% of a business's profits probably come from about 10% of the customers, if you're doing like wholesale or something, because it's that 10% that keeps going back and buying more and more and more and more and more. But then you're spending 90%, wait, yeah, the 10% of your efforts are spent on this 90%, whereas like 90% of your efforts are spent on this, the rest, which 10% of your profits. So does that make sense? Why don't you cut out 90% of those efforts so you're left with only the 10% and get 90% of your original profits? Like, that sounds great, doesn't it? I learned to do this with my homework and time, and just look for the things that actually don't mean anything, and then, like, it might even be 60-40, I don't know. But then toss away that, like, extra bit that you actually really don't need. That's the Pareto Principle. So, Parkinson's Law. Use less time to to become more efficient. And then I guess the 80-20 rule is become more efficient to use less time, so it kind of goes in like this big circle. Um, so yeah, I learned to do this with so I could free up a lot of time to play Halo, which is great. And let's see, I gotta think. This is kind of making that story I told in the beginning pointless because I haven't actually referenced it at all. I thought I would. I thought I would. Well, now I know a little bit about me. But 80-20 rule. This applies to actually more than just saving time. It applies to so many things. Like there's a really famous Bruce Lee quote, which is something like, "Mastery is daily decrease, not daily increase," or something like that. And what that means is you're stripping down everything to the bare essentials. Like, do only what you need to do. Like, extra credit, I don't do extra credit. I still get an A, for the most part. Unless I, like, goofed or had emotional problems. Yeah, that's actually, like, I didn't get the best GPA in school. And there are good reasons, because what would always happen was, I would always have, like, this, it would always be like this, and then, like, some trauma would happen to me, and then it would, like, tank. And then it would go up, and then it would get really close, and it would never quite get there. So, there's a little joke I say. It's better to get almost all A's. I mean, yeah. It's better to get almost straight A's than straight almost A's. Because that's what happened to me. It's like, I got straight 89s in, like, every class. And then, 89s in every class. Whether I got an A or not was whether the teacher rounded. That's my joke. But, like, yeah. Not good. But, if I had stuck to my principles, I actually would have gotten straight A's. And then, another thing is studying, like, instead of blindly, okay, I might save this for another video, but, I have this rule, it's like, if you want to be good at something, you look at what everyone else is doing, and then you do the opposite, because there are those people that are good, and then there's, like, the average. Well, if you want to get to where those people are good, why would you listen to the average? So, and if, in, like, a binary scenario, where there are only two things you can do, I guess if these people have only gotten like this far because they've obeyed the general stuff, and then the rest have gotten farther, well then they must have done the other thing. I mean, how else would they have gotten there? Unless they're like naturally gifted or something, but I don't really believe in that. I believe, I mean, yes, people do have more thought capacity, but I believe like in general, your brain power probably can be improved just if you learn thought patterns and stuff. I'm getting off topic, but one thing like people would spend like 5, 6 hours studying for a test, and I would spend 15 minutes. And then it always confused me why we managed to score the same, or I would even outscore them sometimes. And it's not because I'm smart, it's because I study efficiently. Like, I go through the thing, and then there's a joke that I memorized the book, which I will talk about in another video, because I learned these memory systems, which let me memorize, like, vast amounts of information really quickly. And they're actually really easy. I'll teach you in another video sometime. But like, I learned these really nice memory systems, and then so whenever a test comes up, sometimes I don't even study because it's so well ingrained in there. But then like people ask me, dude, what the hell, man? You didn't study at all. You were playing freaking Halo up until like 3 in the morning last night. How did you outscore me on this test? And they'd be like, yeah, because no one ever listens to me. But that's another example of the Pareto Principle. I could have done what they did and studied 5, 6 hours to get the exact same grade, or maybe to get a little bit of a higher grade. Or I could cut back that 5, 6 hours of nonsense, use really efficient methods, and then get a really good grade. I guess where Parkinson's Law comes in on this is the fact that I only gave myself 15 minutes to study, because if I did use memory systems, it probably would have taken me like an hour. But I limited myself to only like 15 to 30 minutes, and then I managed to get it done. So these two rules will save you so much time. I promise. Let's see. It doesn't matter who you are. You will save a ton of time if you stick to these two principles. Examine your life. Be cruel. Be really cruel to yourself. What are you doing that is useless for what you want to do? So like I did enjoy my life because I took everything that was considered useless to my purposes, which at the point was time was playing Halo. Now it's just to free up some time so I can go dick around. But like, uh, I procrastinate all the time, and I still get things done, even though it's somewhat stressful. That stress is good for you because you learn to deal with it. So learn to learn to shorten your time by giving yourself really short deadlines. Like even if you want to do something 3 weeks in advance, give yourself like a day to do it. Only exactly one day. You have to finish it by that day, or else the world will end, or else you will die. You have to think of it like that. So like, oh, you were given this like 20-page paper that's due in like 2 weeks. Well, that 20-page paper must be done by 2 days from now. It must be, or else I will die, or else nothing will make sense anymore. The world will explode or some shit. And then look at that 20-page paper and then think to yourself, exactly what do I need to do to get an A? And do exactly that. Don't try to like fluff it up with all this like crap you don't need. Because there's the 80% of your effort that yields the 20% of your successes. Whereas you do the bare minimum, the bare essentials to get that grade you want on the paper, and that's the 20% of the effort you get to achieve the 80%. So these two rules will save you so much time. And yeah, peace, I guess. And if you have any questions, just comment. See ya.